Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different here. Sort of an unboxing video, but a different kind of unboxing. Here I am looking at newspapers from Friday, the 6th of October, and this is the unedited version. I thought I'm going to take a look for like 10-15 minutes. It ended up being the raw footage was a 28-minute video, and it ends abruptly because I just choose to stop talking and I just choose to stop the video. So that's the reason it will end so abruptly after 28 minutes. So let me explain what this video is. I've never done anything like it before. These are the newspapers that I got on October 6th. It was a Friday. Inside this bag is a copy of Israel Today, a right-wing newspaper, and Haaretz, a left-wing newspaper. I figured I would read both of them on the weekend. And then one day after I bought them, the entire country changed, the entire world changed. So this is sort of like an unboxing video. I haven't even looked at them. I don't even know what's there. Obviously, stuff about the judicial reform. This is all that everyone spoke about. Let's see. Okay, here's a friggin' receipt. Let's put that away. Okay. Man, I'm so. This is so unnerving. This is about Yom Kippur. It says, "In Yom Kippur, my heart broke. The day I bought this paper was exactly 50 years after the beginning of the Yom Kippur War, when Israel was surprised by an attack. The Egyptians, the Syrians, they mostly focused on soldiers, not on civilian population. The Palestinians aren't regular Arabs, they're different." So this is Israel Today. Let's see. This is about an actor named Oz Zehavi. He talks about Judaism and liberalism and his reality show in Asia. He's a host of a reality show in Asia. And it's about his kids' kindergarten. Here is something about AI. He's writing. This is like a weekly column. He writes about different stuff in Israel. He's writing about AI. This guy is writing about the Torah, the way he teaches it to his daughter. And this woman is writing about Yair Lapid, the head of the opposition. Eldad Beck is writing about the election in Poland. Yoav Limor writes about a new flying threat from Iran. Okay, I will read this one later. Again, this is from the 6th, one day before an Iranian proxy committed a friggin' carnage. Yeah, Hamas is sort of an Iranian proxy. Wow. This is, I can open this paper. Let's just open randomly. Crosswords and all that. I assume that they still have those. What is this? A map of reality around the world. I have no idea what that means. Armenia and Azerbaijan. There's something about Armenia and Azerbaijan. Something about Poland in the election. And of course, what I said about Iran. This is about France and the king. This is about Russia. about the forgotten Holocaust of Russia and how the USSR didn't count the dead Jews. So there's like a bunch of stuff from like around the world. This woman is saying, my knowledge contributes to Israeli sport. This is the sports section. Okay, I'm almost done with this paper. I'll just let's see what else is here. This is about food. This is all sorts of interesting facts about food. This is what the article is about. Food and snacks. Here you can see these biscuits. Petit Bear, very popular in Israel. This is an article. This is the book section. So this is an article about the character archetype of the female Israeli detective. And you can see these pictures. People are thinking about culture and stuff. Some gossip section, I think. The first canary in the mine. This is the title. The first canary in the mine. It makes me laugh because Israel and the Jews were always considered like the first canary in the mine. If the Western world wants to know who is, 2 seconds away from annihilating them, well, try and see who tried to annihilate the Jews 2 seconds ago, and then you'll know. This is the way it always happens. Israel and the Jews are always the canary in the mine, something for you to think about. So, again, this is something about sci-fi trilogies, and I think I read that one somewhere else. It's about how people don't really translate sci-fi in Israel as much as they do other genres. In fact, I believe that they mentioned a sci-fi and fantasy festival. There was a sci-fi and fantasy festival between the 3rd and the 5th of October. So I actually went there. I have some footage from there. I don't remember where I put the footage. As you can imagine, I edited and copied and pasted a bunch of footage. I have tons of stuff on my computer. A lot of it feels really irrelevant today, but I will post some footage from that festival. Okay, so that's the right-wing paper. I don't think that there's anything else I missed. This is Ben Gurion. This is like a section of what was reported in the Israeli papers 70 years ago. So yeah, this is about a lost watch. You can see the year. It's September 1953. In Hebrew, they write the day first and then the month. So it's September 22nd. People in Haifa are needed for the movie, blah, blah, blah. A wheel of a truck was found. A bunch. Okay, basically it's just some regular paper. I don't know what's the... By the way, this paper is given away for free. This is why I have more than one copy. Okay, this is again a part of that paper. Again, this is the right-wing paper. Oh, okay, it's another copy. It's given away for free, so I've taken 2 copies. This is the book section of the left-wing paper, Haaretz. Okay, this is the... Oh, no, it's the gallery section. This guy is saying, talking openly about sex is not perverted. The denial of it is the perversion. Or like the suppression of it is the perversion. Let's see. Who is this guy? For a decade, the anthropologist Idan Yaron was embedded in the radical circles. Basically, this is about the right wing. This is an article about how The Jewish Israeli right wingers are some really 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 dangerous people. So October on October 6, 2023, Haaretz is warning us, as they often do, but this is like, this time it's big time. They warn us of the greatest danger in the world, the Jewish Israeli right-winger. Imagine if the New York Times on September 10th had an article about how the biggest danger to the United States was, the guy who didn't like Al Gore back in 2000. Wow. That's a left-wing paper for you. All the roads to the Intifada. Intifada is like a Palestinian armed struggle. They're talking about how, okay, this is by Amos Harel. I think he's more of like one of the right-wingers in the paper. Any paper, right or left, has like one or two people from the other side. I think this is an example of that. He's talking about how the Palestinian organizations are being armed with weapons. Holy crap. Sponsored by Iran. And they narrowed the error margin of the Israeli military, the IDF, and of the Shabak, also known as Shin Bet, also known as the Israeli FBI, or some would call it. So this is interesting. The paper in like one of its main sections have an article about how the worst people in the world, the most dangerous people in the world, are Jewish Israeli right-wingers. Many of them today are fighting alongside left-wingers, fighting and dying in their battle against the Palestinians. And here you have like the one non-lefty in the paper saying, there could be an intifada, Iranians and Palestinians, maybe we should check this out. So here you can see, again, they're pumping the article that I just showed you. Here is the marker. That's a paper, an economic paper that was bought by Haaretz a few years ago. By the way, Haaretz are also the people who are printing and publishing the New York Times in Israel. If you want to go to a store, buy a copy of the New York Times, it will come with several English sections of Haaretz. Which makes sense, these papers are one and the same. So this one is a day in the life of a security guard trying to stop crime in Portland. Interesting. This is about this stand-up comic who says it's a perversion not to talk about sex. And let's see. Empty offices in the United States, mostly homeless in the street. People are abandoning American cities. Seems interesting. I would have enjoyed reading it, but it's just that, a day after I bought it, the world fucking burned. The country literally burned. What is this? Some poems by some guy. I don't know. Let's just open this. Okay, now you can see this is a very inconvenient paper to read, because it's not just that it's the Friday section, the Friday paper. It's all of these papers are, super large. Okay, this is just mocking Israeli right-wingers, basically, the parliament members. And this is, before the winter session of the parliament is opening, Netanyahu will have to maneuver between the ultimatum from Goldknopf, one of the politicians, to whatever, blah, 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 something about the public. They're talking about how there are people who want to assassinate the next election, figuratively speaking. To me, it's just so friggin' funny. It's so friggin' funny that This is what they focus on because, in fact, a couple of days ago, the winter session of the parliament did open, and all people talked about, of course, was the horrific assault against Israel, and yeah, and there was a rocket launch from the Palestinians during the speeches. Everyone had to go into hiding. Now, this is a guy named Nehemiah Stressler. He's an economist. He's a serious economist. His problem is that he writes about other stuff as well. He says even after 50 years, you cannot forget. He talks about the war against, again, this is 50 years. This is exactly 50 years to a horrific war against Israel. Now, Stressler, the guy who wrote this article about the stuff he remembers, I suppose, from 50 years ago, he's also the guy who wrote, I believe, in this very paper, or some other paper, I'm not sure, but he's the guy who wrote a big article about the Palestinians decades ago, in the 90s. He wrote about how there will be peace, and all of the right-wingers who say that there won't be peace are just a bunch of, basically, they're, let's just say he said that they were wrong. I don't want to go into anything deeper than that. And now people are showing the articles they wrote back then when he's like, oh, there's going to be peace. Israelis are going to be tourists in Palestine and they'll buy stuff in their stores and it's going to be heaven. And all of the people who warned us from the Palestinians are all wrong, and they're going to figure out that they're wrong when they'll be, sitting in restaurants in Gaza and looking at the sunset, whatever. So yeah, I wish his prediction was true, but we all know what happened. This is about this is by Aluf Ben. He's an editor of the paper. The editor of the paper, he wrote this time Barbie Vi. Barbie Vi is this woman who's like running for mayor. This is what people cared about on October 6th when it was a normal place. Huria El Asadi, an Arab Israeli, I suppose, because in Israel the Arabs work the same places the Jews work. They vote, they get elected to parliament. There is no apartheid. Your left-wing friends are lying to you. So let's see, he's writing about the city of Ramle, living from elimination to elimination. He's talking about elimination of people. I'm mixing the English translation with the Hebrew slang, so my apologies. There is a lot of violence among Arab Israelis. I mean, like 90-something% of murder victims in Israel, I'm not talking about terrorism, just criminal murder, 90-something% are Arabs. Arabs are 20% of the population. So I don't know. It's just insane. Just insane. I mean, imagine if any group, Arabs, whatever, was 20% of the population in the United States, and yet 100% of the victims and 100% of the killers all came from that one population. It's insane. Obviously, other people are being killed as well, but it's really insane because Jews are about 80% here, and they commit like a fraction of the murders. I'm sure that some people are going to react to this and say, "Oh my God, the Israelis and the Jews are doing most murders." But well, again, I'm not talking about war. I'm not talking about Hamas, and I'm not talking about the IDF. So whether you're on the right or on the left, I'm strictly talking about criminal organizations and about people killing their family members. That's it. And it's like 99% or 90-something% specific group. Five combat soldiers hurt by a grenade in Tulkarem. That's a Palestinian city. So the combat soldiers are obviously Israelis. Most, if not all, are Jews. There are also non-Jews in the Israeli military. And yeah, so things in the territories are rough, but everyone thought that every now and then there's going to be some skirmish, whatever, and it sucks, but it happens. And we'll move on, and one day there would be peace. And so if you had interviewed an Israeli on October 5th, they would have said one day there will be peace. If you would interview them now, whether they're on the right or left, I doubt it. The UN is talking about how dozens of some village that I can't pronounce have left the region since July. And this is the Israeli forces in that village. You can see that there's a flag there. I assume that the soldiers aren't the people who own that flag. I assume someone else put it there and they just found it there, right? That's the new Nazi flag, some would say. Oh, here's a commercial. Imagine a world without friends. My God. This is from an organization called the Wings of Crumbled. Crumbled is sort of like an Israeli snack that usually is only around in the winter. It's going to take me an hour to describe it anyway. So you can donate to that organization, Wings of Crumbled. Like, imagine a world without friends. Like literally one day before, a bunch of people just lost all of their friends. Like, there are tons of people who are like, I went out with 6 friends and I have no friends. And it's insane. It's just friggin' insane. In Israel, I lived in the air. In Canada, they told me welcome and gave me a status. It's okay. That's the people from Eritrea. The people who come here. Some people say that they're refugees. Some people say that they're not. And a lot of them have left Israel and went to Toronto. Maybe you've heard a couple of weeks before the war, there was a big skirmish in the city of Tel Aviv among 2 groups of people from Eritrea. And man, look how many ads. People who read Haaretz always mock the other paper that I showed you, the right-wing paper, that they always have ads in like all of the pages. But Haaretz is now, they have more and more ads. The Pier, it's like a new TV show. It's called The Pier. And here it says, soon they will make the toughest decision of their life. So, wow. Yeah, it seems to be about soldiers, maybe Israeli soldiers, I don't know. Okay, let's see. In a basement from Washington, the former advisor of Trump continues to wreak havoc in the Republican Party. I assume they're talking about Bannon? Yeah, Steve Bannon. And this is an article, a translated article from the New York Times. Yeah, not surprising. They don't like Trump. They don't like McCarthy. They like him a little bit, right? And of course, they hate Steve Bannon. Ehud Olmert was an advisor to a spyware company, an Israeli spyware company. People have been talking a lot about the Israeli spyware in recent weeks because some of the authorities used the spyware against Netanyahu. People on the right are accusing the deep state in Israel of going after Netanyahu and using spyware illegally. There's interesting stuff. And here is a picture. Stop the laws of dictatorship. Because allegedly Netanyahu's judicial reform is a dictatorship. Yair Netanyahu, that's the son of Prime Minister Netanyahu. Yair Netanyahu wants to immigrate to the United States and is afraid he'll be rejected. He's saying Biden isn't a friend. Okay, I'll stop right here. I mean, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm so happy I'm a relatively small channel because if I were a big channel, I would be panicked that maybe I'm I'm screwing over the son of the prime minister. I don't want to get in trouble with the prime minister. He seems angry lately. Let's see. I only wish that he would return, that he would see the son I have given birth to. So I assume that this is about a woman who gave birth it says here, the winter of 73. The winter of 73 is, of course, that war that I mentioned. So this is a woman who has been dealing with I don't remember, is it cerebral palsy? I don't want to mistranslate things, but she was, because of an illness, she had a problem with her leg, but she became like the world champion in a sport. I guess this is about the Special Olympics. I'm really bad with sports, all sports. So you can see all sorts of sports article. I don't even know if this paper has a sports section anymore now. Oh my God. This one says Saturday morning, a beautiful day, ? The words Saturday morning, beautiful day are the words of a famous song, a famous Israeli song about, basically the song itself is just about the weekend, and it's written from the perspective of a child. And it's especially horrifying because these specific words and other words of that song were written on a note that was attached to like a picnic basket or a bottle or something that was taken to the Nova Festival. And I know about this because someone from Channel 13 in Israel went to the area of the Nova Festival and started live on the air going over just the different things that were left there. And he found that note and he almost like burst into tears. Just people who wanted to have a nice Saturday morning. And this is, I guess, Helena Bonham Carter, a show called Nolly, and I think that the person who wrote that TV thing didn't like it. This TV critic didn't like it. What can I say? These are the two papers that a lot of people in Israel have read on Friday. On Saturday morning, I can just imagine someone in one of the kibbutzim and small towns in southern Israel going out to the porch, 5:30, 6:15. One of these papers opens up the paper just like you do, and it's like, well, that's going to be my Saturday morning. And 10-15 minutes later, it was the